Well-Conceived Business, the place health and wellness practitioners come to create businesses that deliver both profit and peace. Let's dive in.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Well-Conceived Business. I'm so excited to be here with you and so grateful to be able to be joining you in whatever you're doing right now. So if you're at the gym, if you're going for a walk, if you're washing the dishes or folding the laundry is always where I listen to podcasts, then I am so grateful to you and I appreciate you. Now, this is a bit of a put a finger down moment, but today's episode is really going to be for you if you say yes to any of the following. If you are trying to grow on platforms like Instagram and maybe it happened before, but it is hard slog now, or you feel like you're doing all the things on Instagram and it's not yielding you the results that you want, it's for you if you are all up in reels and are like, this isn't working. Or maybe you are growing a really good audience, but it's not converting into sales. So those are all the things that we're going to talk about today. And it's how, as a service provider, you can strategically look at what's happening in the market and what you need to know about the different content platforms and how to really leverage the changes in the market. Now, the context is also, I always call myself lately a marketing grandma. And I say this because I've been in marketing, advertising, sales for nearly 25 years. That's a really long time to be in the market. I have marketed through the global financial crisis. I have marketed through 2019, which was the slowest economic growth in a decade since the GFC. I marketed through all kinds of different markets. And what I want to say is that the market changes every 2 to 3 years. And likewise, content, platforms, social media, places to be, consumer behavior also changes every 2 to 3 years. So there's a lot of talk in the market about things not working the way they used to. And by used to, people are referring to 2022 and the kind of boom period that everybody had from 2020 to 2022 when people were at home more. People suddenly found out that Zoom was a thing. People all of a sudden were interested in investing in online education and improving their health and wellness, starting side hustles, whatever it might be, that we kind of entered this boom period. And then we had stimulus packages. So everyone was like, oh my God, free money. So they would spend a lot of that disposable money on things. But I've been marketing and running a business since 2018, but I've been in marketing now for 25 years. So I've kind of seen it all. And I'm a little bit, what would you say, meh about everything that's happening now because it's a normal part of marketing. And what I'm seeing right now is some people who were like flash in the pan, let's say Instagram coaches, etc., being like, who came to the market in 2020, 2021, now being like, oh, I was one dimensional. I was focused on this one thing, and that one thing is not the thing anymore. And I'm like, yes, because marketing, advertising, promotions is actually never about one thing. Or if it was about one thing, it's not about trends, it's not about tactics, it's about consumer psychology and consumer behavior. So let's step away from one-dimensional marketing. Let's step away from little trends and start looking towards what a really sustainable business looks like and what the data might be telling you. And I've looked into this. We did a training in the Well-Conceived Mastermind all about launching, sales, promotions, what's working now. We're about to drop something a little bit secret to some special people within Launch Easy Life very shortly as well along this same trend. But let me give you a little bit of a taster of what's going on, how you can leverage what's working in the market right now for your business. So what I want to say is, and like I've said, I've marketed through many different conditions, but there's always a few things that I've done a little bit differently that I haven't seen other people doing. One of those is sort of omnipresence marketing. So I come from the era where we used to drop, it still blows my mind, we used to drop $13 million on one single newspaper. It was called the West Australian. We also used to invest in radio and all of these other things. And this is back in the day before Facebook existed. And these we didn't, and it was even like pay-per-click advertising and display advertising through websites, etc., wasn't even that big a thing either. And so we used to invest in these mediums and not even really be able to track super measurable results. And so now we have the advent of things like Instagram, where we can see the insights of every single post. And we can launch a podcast and see the analytics of every single episode. We can invest in Facebook ads and see to the dollar, like what the return on ad spend is, what the cost per lead is. And we are so incredibly blessed to have that opportunity. But what happens in that opportunity is, again, that people get really laser focused on one metric and this really direct result as a measure of advertising success. And I subscribe to a different playbook. I'm all about the holistic effect that something has on your business. And this, even 2 years ago, we would have scenarios where our one-to-one coaches would invest in Facebook ads and they would fill their books and they'd be like, amazing, that's working. And then what would happen is they would say, oh, but I'm looking at the direct return on investment, like from my business, and the ad is showing me that it's not delivering the return on ad spend. I'd be like, And what would happen then is they'd switch off ads in 90 days. They'd be like, why have all my clients dropped off? And my belief is, so number one is we should constantly be optimizing our creative and our ads based on what's working now. So if what you're doing now is posting exactly what you were posting 3 years ago on Instagram, you got to change with the market. And so you need to change and leverage consumer behavior. Obviously, a couple of years ago, we didn't have short form video. A couple of years before that, we didn't even have Instagram stories. And, Instagram used to be very much just static posts and quotes, and also used to be just about like curated stock images and filters on Instagram, etc. And it's not about that anymore. We have reels, we have carousels, we have all sorts of different things available to us on Instagram. As an example, we have TikTok, we have short form video. So, short form videos across everything. You can even do YouTube shorts now. So it's really important that we leverage what's working right now. But that doesn't mean throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And so we'd have these clients, they would invest in ads. We need to be constantly optimizing and looking to get those to convert as best as possible. But the point that I'm trying to make is don't get too granular on your business. Look at the holistic effect in your business and what potentially, I'm just using this example like a metaphor. Think of this in a wider context as well. Marketing is a lagging indicator. So what you're doing now is going to affect you in 90 days. So if you are active, if you're appearing everywhere to everyone, if it's then getting the, people through and then you stop, you're going to see the effect of that in about 90 days. But what it might have been doing is really making you top of mind as the fertility coach, as the whatever, as the business coach, as the person who helps people with their lash extensions, whatever it is. So you might have been top of mind for people, and they might not have been directly coming to you from the Facebook ad, but because you were top of mind, you became their preferred person, and then they came to you through other areas. And one of the biggest ways that I've seen this, and one of the other things that I see people do, is they're quitting podcasts. And I remember when we were going through a big phase with the Fertility Warriors, where I was like, we've got to be able to measure this better. I can see who's listening to the podcast. I want to try and do a few tests and see how we can get more people to directly convert from the podcast. And so what I did was, I tried several different things. And one of the things I did was create a special secret page just for podcast listeners with some extra freebies and information in it. And I tracked this link, right? Well, what I found though was hardly anybody was visiting that page. So when you look at a podcast, I can say to you, come join my email list, go to launcheasylife.com/grow. There is something really incredible there. Or I could say DM me grow on Instagram and I'm going to send you the most epic freebie. But a lot of people aren't going to take direct action from there. What is going to happen when I have a podcast is it's either going to be for my warm audience, who are then going to be like, oh my gosh, this is incredible value on the podcast. And I'm going to speak to a particular thing that the market wants in 2024 in a moment. It's going to be for your warm audience to warm them up even more, but you're going to get that audience through either building or buying or borrowing through other places where they come find you. Then they subscribe to your email list. Then you send them to your podcast, and then they are like, oh my God, this person is my person, right? But they quit podcast because they can't see that how that directly converts. And so, or people are going to find you through the podcast, subscribe, and then, just organic, see you in an ad, and that's where they'll convert. So you might not see this direct result from your podcast, right? But when we asked people why they were joining the Fertility Warrior Reset and the Fertility Warrior Intensive, and later when we changed my signature program to a program called the Reset, more than 50% of people selected the podcast as the reason or the place where they joined from, or what place led them to join. So a lot of people selected Instagram, a lot of people selected podcast, and that gave us a really good indication of where we needed to invest our emotional and physical energy in our product suite. But I see a lot of people being like, meh, I'm going to quit the podcast, or it's too much effort, or this or that. No, podcasts are so incredible. And what you can't do is just have, you can if you're going live regularly or producing really great thought leadership content, but unless you are an Instagram coach, marketing for Instagram coaches on Instagram is radically different to anybody else, FYI. You're going to want to have bridges between that top of funnel content and getting someone to buy. So that could be the missing piece in your advertising, is that you don't have that middle of funnel kind of content. So do you have webinars? Do you go live regularly? Do you have a Facebook group where you're live regularly? Do you have something like a podcast that allows people to really get to know you and know your expertise? And so if you don't have that, you might not see a direct return on investment. Like, maybe you even add UTM links. You might be like, I just can't see how that's happening. But when you stop that, or like when these people stopped their Facebook ads, you then notice that it impacts sales. The reason for that is because you're missing, number one, that middle of funnel content, but you're missing an authority piece. And there's a couple of things that the market really wants in 2024. One of those is authority pieces. If the market is saturated, if there's so many people out there, we don't want like just clickbaity, catchy little reels. We want to be able to know, if we're going to invest with someone, that they know their shiz, that they are the person, that they're an expert in their field. So we don't even just want how-to tips like 3 tips to lose 5 kilos. Wow. We want to know an actual case study or a story of how that has happened. And so when we speak to content mediums and things like that, we want to be able to get found by the right people who then view us as an authority. So along this trend, if all you're doing is producing catchy little, 5-second Instagram reels, they're really great for top of funnel, for getting found, but they're really not that great for necessarily converting your audience or showcasing your expertise. So that's where I also love incorporating things like carousel posts, where I can go a little bit deeper than just these 2-bit reels on my content. So it's about having strategic content. It's about understanding that marketing is not one-dimensional. It's not one type of content that's going to create the full picture of you as a business owner. And if you are not converting clients right now, I would hazard a guess that if you have the audience, the likes, the follows, the email list, etc., one of the reasons for that is because you are lacking in authority content. It is so much more important than it used to be. People are taking a longer time to find their person, and they're being really a lot more discerning with their spend. So they want to make sure that you're the right person. So if you want more sales, you need to become the authority and look at, well, what in my content, top of funnel, middle funnel, etc., is positioning me as an expert in my field and someone who knows exactly what I'm talking about. So then the next thing along the same lines as what I've just been talking about is people are being a lot more discerning with their money. They might have had poor experiences with other providers, not even in the same niche as you. They just might have had poor experiences with people. They may have less disposable income. They may still obviously have a raging problem that they wish to solve, but they're being more considered with their money. So that might look like, as I've just said, longer times to convert. So you might need to be showing up consistently. It might take 6 months for someone in your funnel where you might have had really quick, short, snappy launches that you'd launch a flash sale for 3 days and all of these people would come and buy, even if they'd only just joined your email list. That might look now like you're going to do a 1 to 2 week launch. And the people who are going to buy are the people who you've been showing up for consistently for 6 months and built that trust for buy. So really looking at that and saying, hang on, it's not just about even one launch or one Instagram post. It's about how you are consistently building to that thing. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so freaking passionate about the business model that I teach, which is, like this signature program framework, because that lends to creating more authority whilst also having a much simpler business. And that's exactly what I teach within Launch Easy Life. But considering that and thinking, okay, well, if people have a longer buying cycle, do I give them opportunities to try before they buy? So that might look like what I call a feeder funnel. So something that is going to not cannibalize your signature program or signature offer, because that's where your meat and potatoes of your business and your business revenue is going to come from. So a feeder funnel isn't going to generate very much revenue at all. It's going to generate a volume of sales from people, and it's designed to build radical trust with them whilst also getting them a little bit involved and make a no-brainer sale. And the product that you offer is then going to position them to want your main signature offer. So it should not be a substitute in any way, or considered or perceived to be a substitute in any way for your signature program or service. So there's a little bit of an art to creating a feeder funnel. You're also going to want to be able to add upsells within that to be able to help it generate just at that tiny bit of profit that might even offset your ad spend. But people who have purchased from you once are far more likely to purchase from you again. But again, circling back to that authority piece, what it's going to do is help position you as an authority and the person that they wish to work with. So if you are running your business in 2024 and looking to grow and also get more clients in 2024, what I would highly encourage you to do, here's a few action steps for you. Number one is really look at your offer suite. Is this a simple offer suite that is strategic? Do I have that hero signature program framework that is going to lend itself really well to building authority and clarity within my messaging? Am I focused on producing a large amount of authority content, not just that top of funnel, like fancy quotes, etc.? They're 100% necessary for your business, because if no one knows about your business, how can they buy? But do I have, an appropriate level of authority content and potentially authority mediums in my content mix? Then looking at, you're going through things like your bio, doing some spring cleaning of your website, etc., making sure that it's really clear, making sure that you're showcasing how you are the person that people want to work with in 2024. What qualifications do you have? What expertise do you have? What case studies can you share? What context can you give to testimonials? And are you regularly sharing testimonials in interesting ways? Are you playing the long game? So not just looking at what happened this week and what was the exact stat from Facebook this week and then deciding whether something is or isn't worth your time. It's going to take sometimes 90 days for you to get a result from what you're doing, and understanding where are your customers coming from. Do you need more surveys? Do you need to understand more about where your clients are coming from and where they've seen you? Really looking at, how can I be top of mind for my audience? And for some of you who have not in the past invested in things like Facebook and Instagram ads, maybe now's the time that you're like, okay, if the market is saturated, if Instagram reach is lower, because there's just more people on Instagram. And if, one person spends an hour on Instagram, there's only so many accounts it can see. Is it now time for you to enter the next chapter of your business if you want to be a business that outlasts the rest? And really looking at not just being like one-dimensional in what you're doing, really understanding and being intentional with everything that you're doing on social media, on podcasts, whatever it is, that you're not just sort of looking at just top of funnel marketing. You're giving people these glimpses of your authority. You're showing that you know what you talk about, and even, stepping away from vanity metrics a little bit and into what are the things that are actually going to generate clients in my business. And those are generally not the things that get the most likes in your business. So having a look at that content mix and reviewing what that's like. I hope this episode has been super helpful. As always, if you've got any questions, if you're like, explain this to me further, whatever it might be, I'm always here for the conversations on Instagram. You can reach out to me at Robyn Birkin. Would love to have a chat. And that's me for this week. Bye for now.
Well, that's Well Conceived Business for this week, done and on the books. Let's connect at Robyn Birkin on Instagram to keep the conversation going.